Alright, well I hope we're recording here. This is Bruce Latch down here at Timeless Arts Refinishing in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You can find us on the World Wide Web at www.timelessartgr.com. Phone number is 616-453-8309. We got this little Zenith 6S27 and it's in an ebony finish. The thing came from California and I'm going to strip it today. So we got it taped up pretty much. We got the front taped up. We got the back taped up. We got the grill cloth in the back taped up. And on the very bottom of it, we got that taped up down there too. So this one here, we're gonna get going on her here. We're gonna start with a little bit of I'm going to take a nice little rag like this and just kind of lay it partially on the inside, and then I'm just going to start applying my stripper to it. And I'm not going to be stripping too wildly on this. I want to just kind of got a beautiful old black lacquered finish on this. Just the finish is crazed, and it looked like something had spilled on it at one time. Mainly on this side right over here, the left side of the cabinet. Looks pretty bad. Other than that, it's a beautiful old radio for as old as it is. I've been doing nothing down here but stripping for the last week. Actually, last 3 or 4 days. I got 8 oak doors over here stripped. A whole bunch of stuff stripped up, but I'm going to start finishing and repairing tomorrow. Sandy's down at Art Prize here in Grand Rapids. She's got a pair of Kendall High Boys that are in there. So I'm down here by myself. Now I don't want to get too heavy on this stripper here. I just kind of want to put a little on it. Let it set for a second. I'll come back with one more little coat on it. Kind of curious to see what kind of wood we got up under here. If it's going to be painted from the factory, chances are that they would have used a hardwood on here if they knew that this was going to be an ebony finish from the factory. But it's not very often that you would take mahogany or walnut, which most radios I've seen, by the way, are walnut. I got a Spartan over here that's mahogany, but most of the radios I've done were walnut. Walnut was the choice of wood when they were doing them, but I got a feeling this little thing here, and I could be wrong, I got a feeling that this is probably hardwood like maple, because once again, in the furniture industry, if they're going to paint something, they're going to want to use a nice tight wood, not a grainy wood like maple or mahogany. So we'll find out when we get it taken down. Now on a radio like this, I mean, there's stuff here, the grill cloth is still inside, all covered up. So I'm doing what I call a dry strip here. I'm stripping it, but I'm not getting as sloppy as I normally would. And I'll do a lot of sanding on this too, instead of just stripping, just to get all this off, so I can be careful not to ruin anything in here, like the grill cloth or anything that's taped up under there. So now that we got that done, we just take the trusty scraper, and start to scrape it off, but I can tell that it's really not quite ready yet. Looks like it had quite a few coats of finish on it. Well, usually I can work without gloves and keep my hands fairly clean, but looks like it's getting to be a little messy right now, so. Okay, there's all that. Okay. So basically, what we got going on right now is we just went around it one time, one application of stripper. Got a little bit of steel wool here in my hand. Areas that I could not, I'm just loosening up these areas right here that I could not get with the scraper. Get all the little routed edges first, down here, and we'll come across in here. A lot of times when I do these videos like this, I will kind of pretty much strip the radio down a couple of times before I do the video, but on this particular radio, I basically just taped everything off and started. So this is my first application of stripper right here. And the reason I come across like this and wipe this sludge off here is because the more you can get off on the first coat, and that's that much less to get off on the next coat. Yep, there we go. I'm actually seeing wood on the base right now. Okay, Okay, so that was the first coat, so now we're getting ready for number 2. Okay. Coming across up here. Now the trick to stripping is getting real sloppy and wet with this stuff. I mean, the wetter and the heavier and the sloppier you can get with your stripper, the better it comes off and the cleaner job to get. But with this particular radio, like I said, it's got some paperwork on the very bottom of this radio that's taped off. The grill cloth is in here. And that's all taped off inside and out. And there's a stamping on the very back of it. It says model number on it, and we got that taped off. So we're trying to be careful here and not getting so sloppy. And I'm hoping these videos turn out okay, because like I said, Sandy's at Art Prize, and normally she's filming this on a smartphone. I've got about a $400 camcorder I bought 2 years ago. I've never used it, so today is the first time I bought a tripod for it. I got it set up, and I hope that it's working properly. I'm going to be a little disappointed if I get home and download that on my computer and find out that the video didn't come out, or it came out all blurry or whatever. Oh yeah. I can see the maple right now. I'll just take a little bit of. So actually right now what I did, this is my second application of stripper on here, and I am using a piece of steel wool, kind of a medium coarse steel wool, and I am scraping it and wiping it back, and I am cleaning that up as I go. And I am getting right down to the maple. The wood is still black because it was finished and it was black, and the black paint soaks down into the wood. So I can see it's maple. This might be too long of a video for a lot of people here, but actually this is not going to be edited. It's from start to finish. You really want to take these radios down, and a lot of people like to try and preserve the old finish and all that stuff, but it just really don't work. You know, when that finish is old, it has to come off. That's just all there is to it. You put something over the top of it, it's just not going to last. It's going to shift. It may look a little better than what it did before you put something over it. You know, I'll give you that, but it's not going to hold up. there's a chemistry going on here with chemicals, and when they're old and outdated, the finish isn't sticking to the wood like it should be. Well, anything that you apply over the top of that is just going to peel off just as quick, because the adhesion isn't on the top, the adhesion is on the wood itself. So, yeah, this is coming out pretty good actually with the second coat. I could basically just clean this up with some lacquer thinner. So the top looks pretty good already here. So now I'm going to try to, when you see me put my hand on the top of the radio, hold it, I'm making sure I got a clean spot on the rag so I'm not dirtying that back up. I come back up. Across down here, steel wool bottom molding, and white. Always twisting my rag around so I'm picking up with clean rag, not smearing dirty stripper and paint or lacquer across the piece. That looks good, and I was right. That is maple under there. I'm not. I've never refinished one of these radios. I know I've done one other little ebony radio, but I'm not sure so many years ago what exactly that radio was, if it was this model or not. But like I said, I've never really refinished one of these to my remembering about it. And but I do know if I'm working in furniture companies that common sense, you're not going to really go out of your way to build something out of mahogany and then paint over the top of it, you know, because mahogany is very porous. So you want a nice, hard, solid wood so when you're painting it, it looks beautiful. And yeah, we do paint mahogany down here and all that stuff, and oak and every other wood, but it takes a lot more prepping to paint that wood than what it would a piece of maple or a piece of cherry or so. Yeah, this is looking good. The top and these two sides are really nice. Okay. And these are not stripping gloves, but they work very nicely for your hand. They're not as big and heavy and clumsy, so, but you go through more of them. Especially when you tear them up like that. Okay. I'm just coming right up here, scraping, right up here, scraping, wiping on the rag. Okay, all that done, I'm coming back one more time. There's a stripper down here on the ground, not really on the ground, but on my work table, there's a piece of cardboard, and my strippers fell off the radios down there. So as I'm just picking it up with my steel wool in the radio, where I had just scraped. And I'm doing that with stripper. Right now I just dip my steel wool in here into my stripper container. Okay, now I'm going to come back and I'm going to wipe all this up. Now it's actually looking really, really good here. But I'm going to go across one more time and just give it one more coat. Because the bigger surfaces are cleaned up, and I can clean this up with lacquer thinner right now, if I wanted to, but I'm just going to go across one more time, get some stripper. And I gotta tell you guys out there, there's no way I'd even, if somebody wanted to pay me to redo a radio like this and go over the top of the old finish, like this, and just try to cobble it up, because you think that you're saving yourself a lot of work by not stripping it, I would not do it for a customer, because that finish is not gonna stick on this whole thing. It's gonna shift, it's gonna look horrible after about 5 or 6 months, and I don't do work like that. I'd rather just take it down and do the job properly than just kind of go over the top of an old finish. And we don't ever go over old finishes down here at Timeless Arts Refinishing. It's always stripped right down, right on down to the raw wood. Because like I said, that's where the adhesion starts. And if you want a nice finish on something, I really don't like anything coming back to me. I might get a piece of furniture coming back to the shop, maybe one piece out of every 7 or 8 years. So I got a pretty good track record of stuff going out the door and not coming back. And when it does come back, it's not basically for a defective finish that I did. Okay, now, this is going to be the last time. Come back one more time over here. Like I said, it is maple under here. I did not know that, but working in a factory, like I said, there's traditional things they did back in the factories back in the 30s that they're doing back in the factories right now in the year 2000, but they're not quite as practical now as they were back when they made this. This kind of stuff here will last a lifetime because of the simple fact that it was made right in the first place. They use a really good core of wood. They use good veneers. And I think we all know that back in the day when they made radios that they did do some kind of a little cheaper routes on different radios, but most of these radios that come in here, they're better built than any new piece of furniture that's going out the door right now. And of course, you know, Timeless Arts Refinishing here in Grand Rapids, we're just basically not a radio shop here. What we are is a furniture restoration shop. We do an awful lot of high-end work down here, an awful lot of Kendall furniture, a lot of Baker, a lot of Whitcomb. I probably have 10 of them pieces to 15 pieces of Kendall, Bakers, and Whitcombs in this shop right now as we speak. But we also do a lot of nice old antique radios. And we do a lot of doors. There's 8 oak doors right there, right on the right of me here that are going to be getting stained and finished this week. They're already stripped. I'm just waiting for my weekend helper to show up here because it's going to take, I could pick a door up like that, put it on a work table and sand it and stain it, but after I'm done sanding and staining, I have to rack it, and I'm going to need to have a couple of people helping me with that. So the part-time helpers will be in this weekend. What we do enjoy doing down here is watching the transformation of what we do. We take an old radio and strip it down, do all the repairs on it that we need to do. You take something that don't look that good. This radio didn't really look that bad. I mean, it definitely needed to be refinished, but a lot of people would have had it in their house and been happy with it the way it looks. But you know, we get radios down here that are in really bad shape. Really, really bad. And it's always fun. It seems like the more of a challenge it is, the funner it is for me when I'm done. Getting there. Alright, let's see here. Okay, basically at this point, all I have to really do is kind of get my workstation cleaned up again now, because the thing is basically stripped, but it's not totally cleaned up. So what I have to do is wipe off this heavy sludge that's left here. Tip this up a little bit. Wiping up along the edge, the bottom. Wiping the table a little bit. I use a lot of cardboard down here at this shop when we're working. I find it works really well to lay stuff on. You can flip it around, you can strip on it. It doesn't dent furniture. And then when it gets totally, you know, used up, as right now I'm just actually running my rag across the bottom, cleaning the bottom out. I'm gonna wipe this up a little bit. There, now. Just rag out of the way. And basically we also got cardboard like this. A friend of mine works at a factory. They bring me lots of cardboard like that too. It always works good around the shop, see? So basically now I can just flip that like that. I'm gonna be right back. I gotta get some rags. Okay, so basically now it's all stripped up and it looks nice. once again, not to repeat myself 3 times, but it is solid maple, or not really solid maple, but it's made of maple. A funny thing about black, I get a lot of customers that ask me to do a black wash. If you guys have been to my YouTube channel, you'll see the big giant door that I just rebuilt for a home in East Grand Rapids. Well, that has a black wash on it. Black right now, black and gray is in. This is basically an ebony finish on here, you know. But when you strip it down and you've got residue of the paint in the grain here, what you basically have is almost like a black wash. And what a lot of people don't realize, they always tell me, Bruce, can you make I want a black wash, but they don't realize, I have to tell them, I can do that for you, but it's going to have a green hue to it, because this black always appears to have a green look to it when it's not solid. When it's solid, it's actually covered the whole product, and then it's black. So, but yeah, that's what we look like right now. She's coming right now. There's one little nick right over here on the side. I don't know if you ever noticed that. I'm going to patch that for you. And I just flip it around like this. I really hope that camcorder is working, because I know this is a long video, and I feel like I'm talking to myself in here. People out, my neighbors out there probably think I'm crazy. They go, nobody's in here, who's he talking to? But I find it better talking to the camera than just working here, and I don't like to have a YouTube video with a bunch of music in the background. I want people to see these videos, and if they're trying to strip something like this themselves, they can go watch and see how I did it, if they're interested. So basically, it's really important to get all the old finish off the radio, but it's even more important to get all the finish out of the cracks, because when you leave finish in the cracks is when it really creates a big problem for you. It don't look good, it's thick, and you can tell that somebody didn't clean it up very well. Okay. And now this is basically just a strip. Now what I'm going to do, I'll let this set. I never try to come back and play around finishing something the same day that I had just got done washing it down. I like to let the solvents have a day to escape out of the wood. But I'll come back like tomorrow, and then this radio will be anywhere it needs any repair work, which so far I just seen the one little side over there, like right about here on the opposite side of this radio, has a little nick in it, and that will be nothing to fix. Now, like I said, this stuff is water soluble, and you can use water to clean this stuff up. But like right now on this little front piece that I have, right up in here, because of the fact I was trying to, what I would call a dry strip, not being really sloppy and wet because it's by the grill cloth there, I actually have some finish left on here. That's why you see me scrubbing hard here with this little rag with some lacquer thinner on it. But if I was using water, once I would start to wash its back, the water would neutralize the finish, but the water won't break. The water will neutralize the stripping compound, but it will not pick up any of that paint that's left on there. I really like to try to do a nice thorough job of stripping things and keeping everything uniform, whether it's a painted finish or not. Especially if you're doing a wood grain finish, you know, you want to strip it heavy and thorough, because then that way you've got all the old color left in the piece, and you got a nice, even, uniform look to what you have to start. You don't want to sit there and attack an area with steel wool because you didn't get enough stripper on it. Now, a painted piece, not so bad because you're going to be painting it anyhow, so it doesn't matter if it's broken up, but I still just, it's the way I strip, I try to do everything thoroughly. There we go. That looks good. I'm trying to keep my rags clean too. It's almost done. Now I am noticing that the side panel across here on the front, the two side columns on the front of this radio, they're a different wood, they're not maple. The rest of the radio is all maple. But these two columns to the right and the front, to the right and to the left of the front are, look like they might be walnut. And I don't know that much about these radios, to be honest with you. When somebody sends a radio down to me, they email me a picture of what they want it to look like. Or I get on the internet and start searching around on Radio Attic or wherever it may be to find that particular radio and try to find one that has not been played with so I can get all the toning properly. And there's been radios down here where I toned them by request for the customer, not so much of, you know, trying to make it look like it should have looked or the way I've seen it look on the internet. So I don't really know if this radio came from the factory black or not. I truly don't know. What I do know, though, is that the whole cabinet is maple. Your maple here, your maple all across the top, your maple across here, your maple here, your maple here. And this front panel here that the face dial plate goes into with the knobs, that is maple also. So that much I know. The only thing that appears to have any type of different wood to it is the right and left columns in the front. And so now you guys got a pretty good idea. This was from start to finish. I did take a few minutes on taping it up a little bit here. That was not on the video. And hopefully the camera's still running. Oops. Well, like I said, the next step on this is tomorrow is to do the little repair. I found one repair on this radio. I have to say that is so far the best I've ever had. Well, other than comparing that that Spartan I've got over there, that Spartan is made of mahogany, and that thing has a beautiful, it was beautiful. That had one little repair on it too. Okay, so it's always much easier as a kid to go through that crack while the stuff is wet. At this point, I'm just taking a little razor blade and just running it through the edge. And if there's anything in there that like when I scrape it like that, there'll be a little bit on a razor, and I just wipe it off. And it takes 1 second to do that, versus if you let it dry, then it's hard. Now the fact that I've got this little speaker grill cloth area covered up here on request, and this little bit I am going to have to sit there and play with and lightly sand a little bit. Maybe just leave it alone. We'll have to see if I can tuck something behind it and lightly sand it and prep it and make it look a little bit better. That's not that much of the radio, but once again, this was on request by the customer to leave that alone because we didn't want to tear the grill cloth off, trying to get it out of there. Okay, so there's all that, all this. I'm going to take my little rag with a little bit of lacquer thinner on this. And I'm just going to hit the top a little bit right here. So I can get this video up and running. Actually, it came out pretty good. So, let's see here. We're taped off up there. You see in the back. Hopefully you get a good view on it. On the side. There's the top. Here's the other side. There's the bottom all taped up. And here's the front. So that'll be that. Next time you see a little video on this here, on this Zenith 6S 27, as I'm looking over here, I just can't remember all this stuff. I will probably end up, I'll probably do another video on this. There's a little spot up here that needs to be patched, and a spot over here that needs to be patched. This I'm going to do with a lacquer stick. This little spot in here I'm going to do with some epoxy putty, and then I have to form it. And then basically this radio is so clean and everything is so well on it that all I have to really do is sand it up. And then after sanding, I can start applying the ebony finish. We're going to be spraying this with a pre-catalyzed lacquer is what we'll be using on this. And I'm pretty sure we're probably going to be going in maybe a full gloss or at least a 60 sheen on it. And Who knows, I might even hand rub this one out, just to make it look like that $1 million piece. So, thank you, and have a good day.